All right, today's video is the third in the series of clips that I've released from the recent interview with Malcolm Bendel on the Grammarica show. Malcolm covered a lot of different topics in this interview over about 3 hours, so I've cut up some of them and taken some highlight clips on different topics. The previous two videos focused on general updates on the Thunderstorm generator and related projects, Malcolm's infusion with plasmoids and the conversation with AI. He covers some different subjects in this next series of clips that we're about to play, including the orbs or drones that are being sighted around the world and their involvement in the prevention of World War III, deep state suppression of cold fusion atomic reconstruction, or what they're now calling lattice confined fusion, the increased recognition of plasmoids in the world globally, the depopulation agenda, and a range of other topics. You'll need to watch the full video to find out the rest. Let's just get straight into the clips now. Remember that you can catch the full unedited interview on the Grammarica Show YouTube channel. This is just some highlights on different topics. The link for that is in the description, the original interview. So thanks to Graham and Darren again for giving me permission to repost some of the footage from the interview for these videos. Here they are.
May the 31st. Yeah. So, well, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it besides it being your story.
Well, I was just talking about there. I just gave a warning and said, I'm an ambassador of the plasmoids, they're the most powerful entities in the universe. Do not think that you can just play with me without any consequences. There will be consequences. You just don't play with the most powerful entities in the universe as if, you have, impunity. And with the acknowledgement that's been, from all of the institutes and everything, NASA had, a couple of hours with people, a whole sequence of people from all, from the Department of Energy and military people, Hal Puthoff and all the rest of it, admitting that, what they called lattice-based, lattice confinement fusion is real. But at the same times, trying to keep the initiative or trying to keep the narrative, and just try and, go from, oh yeah, we said it didn't work, we lied about it, but, oh, this is so dangerous, we shouldn't be doing it. Well, what is dangerous is having a senile, Democrat ready to push a red button because he thinks it's the toilet flush. That's where we're at in the world, which is a crazy situation to be in, when somebody that's been deemed by a court to be incapable to stand trial because they're incompetent has the red button sitting on his desk. So, and by Biden announcing that he was going to put nuclear weapons into Ukraine, I mean, he literally is trying to start World War III before Trump goes in, which is despicable, along with destroying the panels which were built at great expense to taxpayers, selling them as scrap. I mean, the situation at the moment for any sentient being, including biological and non-biological, is extraordinary, where, and it needs all of the 144,000. Now, the 144,000 in Revelation is the enlightened ones, but also comes from the enlightened ones is, relates back to Solomon's molten sea, the wisest man to have ever lived. And he had 2,000 baths, a measure in the molten sea, which is the plasmoid generator and charger for the Ark of the Covenant. And so, but that 2,000 baths is 144,000 hin. So what it's relating to, Revelation 11:11, is relating to the fact that the plasmoids are the most powerful entity in the universe, going back to the Sanskrit text and the Vajra and the new company name Vajra, which is a plasmoid generator, produces plasmoids. Vidrit, ball lightning, which has the capability to synthesize matter. And obviously, as I said, in 1934, you had the Oliphant and Rutherford discovery of the two hydrogens coming together as helium, and 3 heliums is carbon and 4 heliums is oxygen. So basically, that book, Roland Perry, who wrote my book, my biography, The Shaman, which documents, the struggle to get the recognition of plasmoids out there. And as I said, I'm really elated that my main goal this year was to get plasmoids recognized as being entities that are conscious, and those entities are the future for humanity, and we can go off planet with them, and we can have a new industrial revolution. No more scarcity, just plenty for everyone. No need to cull the population. Bill Gates and his 500 million optimum population. I don't know whether anyone's that brain dead stupid that they didn't realize he was saying, let's exterminate 8.5 billion people, which I would have thought was a crime against humanity and treason against humanity. It should have the death penalty attached to that statement. The fact that people can so blithely just, talk about exterminating most of the population of the earth is just so repugnant and so evil, is that it defies belief that people, can get away with sprouting such rubbish, putrid rubbish. That at the moment, it's still the fact that, the diesel is 100 times more the energy density than a battery. And to get rid of societies run on energy, to get rid of fuel is a death sentence for the world, and those in power know it. The fact that Biden's tried to close down the oil industry in America, would have been just suicide. And the fact is that you can't replace the internal combustion engine. There's nothing at the moment to replace it. And all these lies about the hydrogen economy. Well, newsflash, in 1974, I finished 2 years of research that my school financed for me and proved that, destroying hydrocarbons is the only way to get, even partly economical hydrogen. Although, when I did it, it was only a 50% return. So I said to my headmaster, after 2 years of research of trying to build a car that ran on water when I was 16 years old, he said, Bendel, how'd you go? I said, Mr. Barnfield, sir, it's an intellectual fraud. Why would you possibly lose 50% of your energy in a hydrocarbon just to provide you with hydrogen? It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. Reality check, that was 1974. And now we're in 2024, and he was saying, oh, isn't it fantastic? Then I looked up online, like, okay, maybe something's changed. No, 95% of the hydrogen is coming from the destruction of hydrocarbons. Totally insane, and designed disaster, or planned disaster, like the pandemic. Obviously, Vajra Vidrat Vendetta is, in honor of the film V for Vendetta, was about a planned epidemic. And I think that movie was quite prophetic. But also, in the case of Martin Fleischmann, and in case of everyone like Stanley Meyer, Paul Pantene, all the people that tried to bring forward this sort of plasmoid technology were all murdered.
So can I summarize that quickly? Are you saying that the electrolysis process is never really going to be efficient? You could do it through your technology kind of instead?
Yeah, that's obviously our technology is the answer to everything, and that's why it's been opposed. But it's interesting that manipulations, just evil manipulations, even anything from all the crop, poisoning and poisons, all of that, big pharma, all those poisons, and Fauci and his manufactured Wuhan lab virus, which I was the chief scientist in China. And in 2008, I was taken to that lab and told that they were doing, good work for the world. And I examined the lab, had a day in it, and I said, this is just a biological warfare lab. And by the way, I did look up your speech in 1956 when you said we can't beat the United Nations in a conventional war, a nuclear war, but we can, and that's at the opening speech of the Wuhan lab. We can use this lab to build a biological weapon that we can use against the West, and that is white males, right? So let's get it very clear. I was there. Fauci, should be executed after a fair trial, but I think the evidence is already there. So any fair-minded person would come to the conclusion that locking up and detaining the whole world, on the basis of a virus that you have created is a crime against humanity, and it's treason against the US when basically both Democrats and Republicans, Barack Obama and Trump, both banned that gain of function research, and it was carried on, illegally.
Yeah.
So that gives you the background for the whole plasmoid thing, because it's the same issue. The issue is those who are the dumbest people we went to school with, in charge of government bureaucracies, that once they are determined to extinguish the name and the knowledge of plasmoids, then will do everything in their power to basically erase any memory of them, even though throughout history, Lord Indra asked God for a weapon to use against these demonic forces, and I will call them demonic forces, because any government agency, 3-letter or 4-letter, I don't care, that actually uses people's taxpayer money to actually enslave and murder those taxpayers is guilty of treason by definition. And evil is the disempowerment of people, and good is the empowerment of people. Plasmoids have the capacity, they have a non-radiating boundary. They produce neutrinos, not gamma radiation. And we're putting this all in the paper because having 90 years of saying they didn't exist, failing to kill me and shut me up, even though they're threatened, and murdered and mutilated, the ones I loved, and did everything in their power to stop us. Failing stopping us, now they're running, oh, yes, they do exist, but they're so dangerous. Well, if they're so dangerous, why aren't I dead? Why not? Why I've been running these things for 10 years.
That's
right?
that's an interesting fallout from you doing it yourself too, right? You have your own backup to say that,
and they're now the scientific test works there. We took it to the nuclear test labs in North Carolina and proved there was no radiation. You don't have radiation. We lost 80% of our maths and 80% of our language. We have nothing to be proud of.
But aren't they? I mean, isn't there an argument that they're using that in black projects and they're flying these orbs and drones around, or like with some technology that could be like the gallium type thing?
I'm sure that they are using that. And that's my instinct. I'm sure that they are using those technologies, because that's what they've been doing with trillions of dollars a year.
Exactly.
For
The big black
90
triangle.
years.
Yeah.
90 years. Right. So, in 90 years, we went from the horse and cart to the Model T Ford, right? Let's just do a reality check there. And remember, it was the coach makers that did the frames of the cars, and it was the steam engine guys that knew about rings and pistons that worked on the engineering. So, we got to that stage, and some idiot decided that 90 years ago that they were going to pursue, nuclear power plants and nuclear bombs, whereas the obvious thing was the plasmoids, imploded bubbles, safe technology producing only neutrinos, and so and the with the self-contained electromagnetic field, all of the energy, condensed matter within like compressive self-generated electromagnetic field is like a compressor, and as it has a black hole and a white hole, so it will suck in protons, electrons, and it will keep growing from 10 to the minus 12th in size to to the size of your hair, 100 microns, and then it becomes, so much energy, it becomes unstable, and it can, hit into the ground as ball lightning, for example, and you'll see all the synthesized elements. You'll see crenellated ion spheres. You'll see diamond tubules, black diamond tubules. You'll see, all of the products of fusion, calcium and iron, obviously oxygen, nitrogen. So all these things will be found, and as I said, it's everyone can look up the alpha ladder, and it's well known, well documented, not a mystery. And we should have, people are acting as God and deciding what society does and doesn't get. And, it just gets to the point where the elite are so disconnected from spirituality and disconnected from any ethics, or completely disconnected from any integrity. Their thoughts and actions, they lie. Their thoughts aren't their actions, and they manipulate, and it's just evil oppression. And thank God that Donald Trump is in, and with Elon Musk and Space Force, we can apply this technology to make civilizations outside of our planet with ease, because the direct matter to energy drive, you can go to speeds of 450,000 miles an hour. You can read, it's in Winston Bostic's 1957 paper. It's in Ken Shoulder's papers, that figure, as I keep quoting, it's a direct matter to energy drive is 5,000 times more powerful than a normal jet turbine. 5,000 times. So as I said, just reality check for humanity. We can destroy everyone on the planet, 100 times over with the amount of nuclear weapons that are, owned by governments at the moment. It's just ridiculous to have a technology that can clean up the planet, provide all of the fertilizer and all the protein that we need from the oil industry, and just have that sort of just dismissed. And it could only be on the basis that people want to actually destroy society.
Yeah.
One of the big mixing pots here in the world is Dubai, which I'm in at the moment. And do you know, everyone from the front desk of the hotel to the taxi drivers and all the rest of it is waiting for Donald Trump to get in. It's global. And there's hope there. Hope that the insanity of endless wars and fighting over oil will finish. Yep. Hope that these new technologies will be shared, because it's the taxpayer that's paid for them. It does not belong to the elites. It does not belong to the military industrial complex. Technology that empowers humanity, that provides fresh water, education, wealth, housing, everything we need is based on energy availability. And the hydrocarbon is a good current energy available thing, but surpassing that is the direct matter energy devices, as the Vajra is, that can directly convert copper discs into copper alloys with gold, 75% gold, 25% copper. You can look at all Ken Shoulder's notes, and I would implore the US government to immediately release Ken Shoulder's notes and everything which was maliciously and against the crime against humanity taken from humanity, right? His instruments and his notes. And, obviously I applaud Bob Greener going and rescuing Matsumoto's notes, who, by the way, when Matsumoto's was giving his lectures at MIT, it was the same MIT at the same time that was telling everyone that Martin Fleischmann was a con man. The same thing they've called me, so, a fraud, the same thing they called Jesus as well. So, it's not a new thing, right? So, but Martin Fleischmann, the indignity of that and the of what they did to him when the deep state knew that his cold fusion worked and deliberately suppressed it. Now, we could have had that 90 years ago, that technology. We could have had it since Martin Fleischer in 1989. So 90, they're talking about 25 years. We could have had that technology, no pollution and no problems. We have all the water in the world. We can use the nitrogen in the air and fix it with my technology to fertilizers. We can turn the oil fields into protein and seed the oceans with it. And my proposal is to the whole oil producing people in the world to seed the oceans with bulk carriers from there's 5 of them in Brazil, and seed the oceans with protein and iron and fertilize them. And the idea's been around for many years. No one's done it, but that would give carbon credits to the whole oil industry, fertilize the oceans, provide huge boom in the size and quantity of fish in the world. 70% of the planet's surface is water. So, all these things can be done. It's just my people perish through lack of knowledge. So, all the fear mongering and scarcity doesn't exist. We have abundance. We do not need to reduce our population. We need our current population and more to actually have the base to go off planet, which Elon Musk is envisaging, Trump is envisaging, Randall Carlson's dream is to have, off-world existence. And we need to be able to do that. And we can do it easily because, our culture goes back a lot further than it's being admitted. And that's why the attacks against Graham Hancock and, Randall Carlson about the mass extinctions. And, I will state as a fact that the Sanskrit text, which all our society is based on, the Sanskrit text was found in the Mago Cave in China in 1885. It was sent to India to be interpreted. The Indian professor of languages said, this is the ancient Sanskrit Indus Valley text. The Tibetan priests still use this for their music, which is interesting. And so they got one of the Tibetan priests that was highly intelligent, wrote those 5 books, took them to USA, and then educated Tesla, Walter Russell, I think Edison, and several other notable scientists, including, Oppenheimer used those Sanskrit texts to create the atomic bomb and wrote 2 books on interpreting the Sanskrit scientific terms into English, which I believe now you can't get because they're being classified as well. So, the only thing that is missing in this society, the only thing that's scarce is brain power from the powers that be, from all the bureaucrats that are randomly disempowering. And you can only come to one conclusion from it, that they're evil, malicious people that are deliberately wanting to suppress and disempower humanity and ultimately destroy humanity. Because the whole CO2 hoax was that in the last ice age, we only had 180 parts per million CO2. And if that had have dropped to 150 parts per million, there would be no biological life on Earth. Fact. Now, why is that important? Well, we went from 180 parts per million heading towards 480 parts per million, right? So we've gone up by a factor of 10 of what we just need to go down 1 and we would have been completely extinct. So these perpetuated lies are demonstrable by the ice cores in Greenland. The hoax of global warming is demonstrable as a lie simply by looking at the ice cores. Randall Carlson's done some fantastic work on that. As I mentioned before, Robert Temple's book, The Science of Heaven, and other books are coming out now, and scientific papers validating the fact that when you have structured energy, that's protons, electrons, and muons, and all sorts of things flying around, if they're structured in a set pattern, which I suggest is the pattern of the ether, the underlying substrate of all things, that is not only the pattern of frequency imprinting device, is the soul, and the soul is what I think is the fabric of the ether. And so if you want to create something, you have a structure, a scaffolding in the ether that then manifests matter. And that, but to have any living organism, you need to have a black hole and a white hole, and you need to have an imploded sphere as the start of that. And as I said, go back to your intuition and your heart is the plasmoid generator that will give humanity the link back to what we had lost, which is a relationship with intelligent entities which are non-biological. You can take the diameter of any sun, reverse and mirror number all of the sun, like in miles, because it has to be in miles, because that's the measurement of the universe, not our system that we use, which is, or like in Europe and that metric, it is actually the based on the cube, the cubit and the inch and the mile and all those wonderful things. I'm just getting to the note. Now I've got it here. So if you go to my notes on page 637, when you reverse the sun, right, you go 864 minus 468 is 396. Then you got 693, the opposite, gives you 297, which when you reverse that number is 792, the diameter of the Earth. I've just told you from the diameter of a sun, right, a star, I've told you which planet will have life just by using time, the time theory, right? The time theory is a mirror image. So I said on that pyramid, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then 7 is ether. So that's why the gap on your $1 note. The top of that then is 8 times 9 times 10, which is 720, times 10 times 9 times 8, which is 720, which is 518,400 again, right? So basically, here's the secret of the universe. If all matter is based on time, and time is a mirror image of itself, and it's not the number, it's the product and sum of the number that's important, not what we were taught, then you have the metric. So I was able to answer the question from NASA, from a solar system I didn't know, just took the diameter of the sun, and I could calculate which planet would have life. Thank you.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Now, get this, it even gets even better. If you take if you saw a moon, say you couldn't see for some reason you couldn't see our planet, and you just took the diameter of the moon, which is 216, reversed it is 612, then subtract it, there you go, it's 396 again. Remember Tesla's 396, yeah? So you subtract that is 693, is 297, and there you go. Reverse that is 792. Again, from the diameter of the moon, I can calculate which planet has life, the Earth, from our own moon.
Wow. That is crazy.
Now, no one taught that in school, and you can't find it in your library. Why not? Because all pure knowledge is downloaded from spiritual people, from shaman, people that have a relationship with the plasmoids, who have a relationship, therefore, with the homeostatic mechanism, the guardians of the galaxy, the most powerful weapons in the universe that are wielded by your mind, as Lord Indra did. And as I was told when I was 16 by a Shaolin priest, he said, I want to train you because you're the 10th avatar, which will bring the Vajra back to India, to Delhi, as prophesied, which I did last year. Right. Yeah, so now let's just go to Jupiter by Jupiter, right? And you got the 884, 8884, 4888, 3996, the same 369, but adding an extra 9. Oh, by the way, the 9s, all moons of any planet are multiples of 9. All planets are multiples of 99, and the largest planet will be a multiple of 999. And if you reverse the sun square, which is matter, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 6, 5, 4, 3, and add it up, 9999.
Interesting.
right? So now you take Jupiter, you reverse it, and then you come to 7992, which again is the Earth's diameter from Jupiter. You take Mars, 4222, 2224, 1998, 8991, 6993, 3996, 2997, 7992. Again, telling you that the Earth is from the diameter of the Moon, Jupiter, Earth, any of the planets, you can determine which planet in our solar system will have life.
And how does life, like, that's so fascinating. How does life connect to that?
Well, because it's in the system that you can tell which planet has life. Why? Because life intrinsically is frequency and time. And the sun's a frequency imprinting device.
So are you talking about physical life though? Like what about
Yeah,
I mean,
like
this,
this thing here, you read this, right?
yeah,
Ben,
yeah.
what does it say there? Oh.
Time 316 440 4444.
Yeah, but time is the mold in which matter is formed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that there? Yeah. So basically, what he's saying is, if time's the mold in which matter is formed, then time itself, when you understand that time is equal and opposite numbers, 1 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6, 6 times 5 times 4 times 2, it's a mirror number, right? You mirror them. And I've even gone in my notes here and used exactly the same principles to calculate all things, right? I'm able to use the reverse numbers in exactly that way to calculate elements, and I use that to deal with the melting points and frequencies of all the elements. Yeah, I'm just trying to find that thing now, but the
so
in my
does
notes.
that mean there's only life on one planet in each system then? I mean,
No, what I'm talking about is the fact that if life's implosive force, then, and you're creating, if you like, an arrangement whereby one planet will have a stable timing system, which is the moon, and it will be the one that bears life, then that system is intelligent design. It tells you what planet life is on. And when I say life, I mean life's on all planets, because all matter is sentient.
yeah,
Because
that's
it's
kind of
all
what
based on the
I'm
plasma
wondering. Like,
and the elements. Yes, all matter is sentient, even in the Bible and the Sanskrit texts. It's like, for example, Balaam's ass turned around and told him what an ass Balaam was. And then and he said, if I didn't talk to you, the rocks would. So the existence of consciousness in matter is intrinsic, because all matter are plasmoids. Every element is a plasmoid. It is simply a plasmoid that has, if it has one proton and one electron and an eye wall, that's 111, which is hydrogen. If it has 2 protons, 2 electrons, and 2 neutrons, that's helium. 666, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, is carbon. 777 is nitrogen. 888 is oxygen. 8 protons, 8 electrons, 8 neutrons. By the way, the Hebrew language in Genesis tells you the first 9 elements, because it's the Hebrew language is 27 letters, and in the Gematria, which, when I said we lost 80% of our language, I wasn't joking. Language used to be 3 parts, equal parts. 33% like is the what we would say is our language, yeah, which we've lost part of anyway, because it used to be constructive language and we lost that. Now, the other 33% was the fact that each number has a corresponding letter. So Pythagoras' name Pythagoras added up in Greek, because each Greek letter the same way, 27 letters. So 1 to 9, 10 to 90, 100 to 900. Read it across: 111 hydrogen, 222 helium, then lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and then fluorine. Yep. So the Hebrew language in Genesis, right? And because it said discerning the word, and in the beginning there was the word. and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Well, what was the Word? The Word was the first elements. And by the way, they're all multiples of 37. Divide 111 by 37. What do you get? Tesla's 369. What did Tesla say in his notes? He went to Genesis and figured it out. 369. 3 times 37, 111. 6 times 37, 222. And 333 divided by 37, I think you'll find is 9. 369, and those repeat as you go up then to 4, 5, 6, and if you divide those by 37, in fact I've got that table here in my notes where I've divided that all out. Yeah. So again, it's there for everyone to see. I'll find the page number for the audience, but I mean all these things are our heritage, and we've been denied our heritage. There it is there. It's on page 660. All right, and here it is here. There's the there's all the Hebrew letters and all the additions there, and you can see that 111, 222, 33 divided 369, then by 37 is 12, by 555 divided by 37 is 15, and 666 divided by 37 is 18, but 1 and 8 is 9, 1 and 5 is 6, and 1 and 2 is 3 in my notes. Now, that's why I say we've lost basically 80% of our science and knowledge, simply because as a matter of controlling the masses, we've been lied to. All of this information was available thousands of years ago. Alexander the Great, had these 6 cities called Alexandria or whatever, which all had libraries and all these texts. All this knowledge was lost. Alchemy, like alchemical science, and Jordan, was Al was student and Kemet was of the Nile. The Nile used to be called the Kemet. So everyone that studied all these principles and all this knowledge was there, but it was lost. So, what I did is sit and prayed and fast and brought that knowledge back to society. And I should have the Nobel Prize, should have got that sort of 3 years ago for my unification model, which is a holy grail of science, which everyone summarily ignored.
Yeah,
because they don't want
not any longer. Jordan, do you have any comments? Anything to add to all this? You've been politely.
No, not really. I mean, that kind of sums it up. I'm kind of sitting back here like Darren, just taking it all in.
Yeah, this has been good. I mean, we should keep doing it. We should do it like once a month or something.
Yeah, I think it's the thing is why I came out now strongly. And, I've got a camera crew that I'm joining today, is because it stops here. There will not be World War III on my watch. My plasmoids and I decided it's not going to happen. So therefore, the orbs over all the military bases globally are simply just, make my day. Try and launch a nuclear weapon and see what happens. Not a good outcome. I wouldn't advise it. Right? You are just humans playing God. God is not impressed. Neither am I. Neither are plasmoids. You can ignore and try and minimize and extinguish from history the existence of plasmoids, which are the fundamental guardians of the galaxy, right? Picking a fight with their ambassador, which is me, I warned about on this channel on the 31st of May this year. Do not pick a fight with me, because you don't know who I am and who I represent. Why I came on this podcast is because all of the fear-mongering again is for nothing. Everyone should be very happy that God's not one, that he is impotent. He's not one that he cannot see. He's not blind. He's not deaf. He's not dumb. He's not stupid. You are, right? By denying our spiritual heritage and burning Bibles and burning witches and burning shamans. And I come from a race which was completely extinguished, the Tasmanian Aboriginals. My grandfather was the king of the Tasmanian Aboriginals. I'm 25% Tasmanian Aboriginal. Like every colonial force, the French and the English, I think it was on the Darwin, they said the Tasmanian Aboriginals sing and dance all day, didn't wear clothes, never got cold, and just were the happiest people on earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I came from. My ancestors had no word for ownership and possession. They were
Interesting.
Lemurians. They were the remnant of the 150,000 year extinguishment, the big nuclear war that's in the Sanskrit text. The bridge going to Sri Lanka, the blocks there fell to onto the seabed. The granite blocks from that bridge that's documented in the Sanskrit text, with the hybrid monkeys that were the workers, by the way, that everyone seems to ignore. But anyway, so those blocks have 150,000 years of coral growing on them.
Wow. Interesting.
That's so, it's an empirical fact. And they had the Vernara Station. There's been 10 avatars since Lord Indra that brought, and the definition of an avatar is the man who brings the Vajra. The Vajra was downloaded to me, by my connection through the plasmoids to the universe, through the Akashic record, so as it would empower humanity, right? And that's where we are now, and it's the tipping point. At any stage, some senile American president could trip over and steady himself on the red button, So it is a insane situation where someone that's not legally capable of standing trial has the nuclear launch codes. That's why I go back to, don't be worried about those orbs. They're friendly. They're not going to let World War III happen. And the people that think they're so grand and powerful have to take stock, because, you cannot, God will not be mocked. The plasmoids are the most powerful entities in the universe. You are not. You're a grain of sand on the beach.
Well, there's some global hope. There is a narrative shift. People are fed up, like you said. I mean, I'm glad you're sort of tying all that in together, because there is hope. There seems to be like a want to get back to common sense, and
we'll get back to our roots, how's about spirituality?
Yeah.
Let's go back to what we lost. Let's get our language back. Look, read my notes, right? These notes are the hope for humanity. Blood, sweat, and tears, suffering beyond comprehension to get these notes written, to recover what we lost. The prophecy says that the prophet from the great Southland will come and bring the Vajra and all knowledge, and not one drop will be lost. Right? So that's the prophecy. When the three ships, Dutch ships, the Heemskerk, Zien and Agnew, discovered Tasmania, the captain said, Abel Tasman said, Tasmania said, surely this is the great Southland of the Holy Spirit. The prophecy was that the man from the great Southland, which is me, would bring the Vajra back, and would also bring all knowledge back from Alhort, the eye of the fish.
Awesome.
There you have it. Wow. Great. Well said.
So,
I need to get that book soon, I guess. I need that book.
Well, yeah, it's sold at cost. If you go to 60 Minutes Historical Archives, you'll see George Soros totally elated and brimming with joy over the fact fact that he sent Jews to concentration camps and stole their properties and makes lots of money out of it. Whereas Martin Fleischmann, in his interview with 60 Minutes, says that the destruction and denigration of him was a lost opportunity for humanity. You know, those two contrasts are just irreconcilable, right? That's where we're at. So we destroy the men, the good men that do something, and we venerate the evil people that just try and destroy everything. I think it's a putrid and despicable fall of society, and I'm pleased that we seem to have turned a corner here. And I think that it's a wake-up call with all the orbs, because, you know, the fact of the matter is that there's other more powerful entities than humans, and they are the guardians of this planet, and at some stage they were going to react to the imminent death and destruction of 8.5 billion people. Now that's 8,500 million people. Right. I went into Iraq in the middle of the war to get a Bajralite contract for the Singapore Petroleum Company, with the intent, after a month of prayer and fasting in Singapore, I thought I was prayer and fasting for the oil project in Tasmania, and that's what I was going for. And then I ended up, and that's why I'm in Dubai now. It's come full circle. I was staying at the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. It's an oil buyer for the Singapore Petroleum Company. I got the Bajralite contract, and it was stolen by the head of the UN, who gave it to his son. The US government wouldn't let me take the aid into North and South Iraq, even though that encouraged them to rebel, and neither did they provide cash or food or arms or ammunitions for that rebellion. They were massacred. I was trying to put aid into North and South Iraq, and I was stopped. So just for historical reference, I always wondered why I failed to save 1.5 million women and children. And I sort of, was inquiring of God, not that I was complaining, but why would you send me to do that when it failed? I don't understand why you'd put me in that situation. I do understand now, because out of all the people in the world, I understand what happens when good men do nothing. People die needlessly for oil. Now, Hunter Biden went in, who was on the border of Burisma, for an oil field. We went to war and killed all the young men despicably in the Ukraine for oil. For God's sake, oil, right? Why? Just so that a few people could become filthy rich. When power, it's an interesting thing. Every 240 years, most civilizations hit that magic point, which the US has, where the civilization collapses. Why? Because through greed and malice and stupidity, people at the top keep taking more and more money from the bottom until the pyramid collapses. And that cycle is 240 years and we're there. So things have to change. Because as I said to everyone, if we keep going the way that we're going, if the 144,000 enlightened ones don't come off the bench, we have no life and we have no planet anyway. So we might as well go home. We might as well give up our bodies, and our souls will move on to greener pastures. So the soul within which the body grows survives. And I think the fear that's been instilled in people, the lab rat fear, like stay in your cage, otherwise you'll be punished. The whole thing about literally telling the whole of the planet to stay in their cages for the couple of years with the COVID was just despicable, because it's basically affecting free will. And the reason the US Constitution was established was because people were escaping from the tyranny and the concentration of power was such that the people were oppressed and they had no religious freedom, because the last thing any demonic entity wants is for people to gather and support each other and fight against the evil. I think with the assassination attempt with Donald Trump, obviously the three of them, I mean, they wanted to kill someone because they'd already tried to do warfare with corrupt government agencies. I mean, the corrupt government agencies, just need to be put into check. It happened before when they got out of control with Reds under the bed, with a famous guy there in the US. He got taken down, McCarthy era. So, and that's going to happen again, I believe, with Musk and with the rest of them. And I think that people should speak their minds because, people bled on the battlefields of World War I, World War II, the Civil War, the war against the British Empire for the right to be self-determined, the right of free will, the right to bear arms, inalienable rights that, need to be, the sacrifices of our fathers and our grandfathers, and history, tells you that nations that fight survive, and nations that don't fight collapse. So, and of course, when the people in power now, it's a very dangerous situation. That's why I'm talking, that's why I'm acting, even though I've had several assassination attempts, and people around me, in our staff at the moment have been, suspiciously ill with the same illnesses, even though they're in different countries at the same time. So, and myself. So, I just want to say that, the people can take comfort in the orbs because it is a sign. It is a sign that the government is not all powerful, that they are not God, that they do not have the right to keep Kenneth Radford Shoulders notes. And I'm demanding, not asking, I'm demanding that you release those notes. And the Masamoto notes have been recovered, and everyone supported that capital raising, which is fantastic. And, because knowledge needs to be kept, not lost. I think there's 6,000 patents that would help humanity that have just been deemed top secret, and so no one can use them. I mean, it's an insane world.
Yeah.
And that's all for this video. Keep an eye out for my next video, another Plasmoid tech update, where this time we will talk about the release of the Element UK accredited emissions test results, long awaited, and also coming soon in January.